All right, Greg. So today we are talking about the Chinese virtues, and I have right now five cardinal virtues and uh, four supporting virtues that are often taught alongside them. And the cardinal virtues are, and I'm probably not pronouncing this correctly, but Ren, or humaneness, compassion, and benevolence. Treat others with empathy and goodwill, and recognize the shared human experience and act with kindness. Then there's Yi, righteousness and moral integrity. Do what is right because it is right, not for personal gain, convenience, or image. Then there is Li, ritual, propriety, respect, and correct conduct. Behave with dignity and courtesy towards others. Observe forms not as empty ceremonies, but to maintain harmony and self restraint. Then there's Ji, which is wisdom, discernment, and clear judgment. And that is to understand situations and people accurately and apply knowledge appropriately. Wisdom balances compassion and justice. And then there's Jin, which is sincerity, honesty, and trustworthiness, which is speak truthfully and act consistently. A person is judged by whether others can depend on their word. And then the supporting virtues are Zhao, filial piety, to honor, care for, and continue the lineage and moral legacy of one's family. Zhong, which is loyalty and duty. That is a steadfast heart towards commitments, relationships, and responsibilities, as well as Yang, moral courage, not recklessness, the strength to stand for what is right, even when costly, and Shu, reciprocity, do not do unto others what you would not have done to you, the Confucian mirror principle for empathy and restraint. So, having gone over those, I'm just wondering what your thoughts are in terms of their general scope, as well as they uh, how effective they were at creating a civilization. What went wrong during the communist revolution, and can they potentially get back to where they were?
hmm Two perspectives. Both of are brief. The first one is these tenets and principles do reflect something similar to the West, but now we're concentrating on the East,
Hmm.
specifically of how the Sikhism, Buddhism, and Hinduism, Confucianism, Shinto, et cetera, and Taoism of other religions and uh, practical slash philosophical journeys for people to apply these virtues or tenets on people. So there is reciprocity and relationality there of these virtues.
Mm-hmm.
The second perspective is how and where is this motive of these virtues guiding to? Who's using them for status in politics or in religion status, which translates to politics the majority of the time. But if you apply this as the will to a will to knowledge or a will to virtue, which to me is not the father of philosophy, but if we apply this now, either understanding or not understanding, one can apply humaneness, righteousness, ritual and moral integrity, wisdom, sincerity, some form of loyalty, moral courage, and feel piety to oneself. But how can that have strife or this disharmony to, say, other cultures? Say, for example, if a non spiritual or irreligious person, either from the east, west, or center of the world, apply these virtues to themselves, and then they enter a different civilization, and the other civilization agrees with these virtues, but they use their dogmatic perspective of, but this is how we see compassion. This is how we see wisdom.
Mm.
This is how we see sincerity. There's this cultural and moral strife that has either a conscious or unconscious, both applied at different rates, of how one sees nature or how one sees other humans.
Mm.
Your thoughts?
Yeah, so I completely agree with your point of view, and I'd also like to ask your opinion on the differences between Roman virtues because specifically one of the cardinal Roman virtues was virtus or manliness, which included like courage, daring, um, risk taking, and so on. And that, I mean, you don't really have that as one of the main Chinese virtues, though they do say yang or moral courage is a supporting virtue. And
Mm-hmm.
interestingly, from what I've read, Confucianism respected like courage and martial valor, but it wasn't like heavily emphasized. So I'm wondering,
Mm-hmm.
Rome was able to conquer a lot more territory, but it didn't last as long as Chinese history or as Chinese
Correct.
civilization. Do you think that might be one of the factors?
Yes. And with Eastern culture and morals, they were dependent on uniformity and security. Security in the sense of how can we harmonize compassion, justice, and wisdom as a cohesive and consistent harmony on a moral and courageous scale. They were concentrated on sincere harmony and inner peace to decrease pain. The Romans influenced immensely from the Macedonians and Greeks, and some Egyptian influence too, and Phoenician too, if we include Hannibal Barca. They saw peace as as the reward through the eternal war and after victory of who acknowledges the other as master.
Hmm.
The other difference between the two is equality. Western civilization, among that era of the Greco-Romans, including the Germanics and the Norse pagans, they viewed equality as a malnourished and feeble form of weakness to be applied on others, or as a form of social status to use, and a form of deception, which is the underlying activities and what is this person doing? They're preaching equality, but what's their true intent there, whether they're conscious or unconscious of it?
Hmm.
Um, Chinese virtues have their form, well, that society has their form of equality in the name of justice, compassion, humaneness, and what is morally righteous and morally courageous with clear judgment, and which adds questions of what is clear judgment or what is truthfulness and trustworthiness
Mm.
or duty.
Exactly. Yes.
Your
It,
your thoughts?
Yeah, it seems as though the Chinese virtues, Chinese and Roman virtues, there's a lot of overlap, but there's also some key differences there that basically I, I'm wondering how much of the differences in civilizational trajectories can be explained by that, basically, because
Hmm.
China historically, once they gained basically power over what is now mainland Chinese territory, they didn't really have to worry too much. They had a lot of natural barriers, so they could generally concentrate on their internal workings, at least until the barbarians got too powerful and overran them, or really caused
Hmm.
trouble. Whereas the Romans, they even at the height of their power, they had much, I guess, their barriers with the barbarian tribes was much, I guess, not nearly as defensible, you could say, and that likely led to, you know, significant significant changes in how their history played out. But
Hmm.
um, yeah, one thing that was considered a major aspect of Roman virtue and Chinese virtue is filial piety. Um, which is the respect towards, I guess, ancestors, towards religion, and things of that nature. And I'm wondering, uh, do you think that in our society we've totally lost that, and there would be value in bringing some of it back?
Yes, there's this mere obsolete stage in modern man and modernity where ancestry is an afterthought. People are obsessed with ancestry of getting to know where they're from, but not the people who've influenced and guided that lineage.
Hmm.
With Chinese history, this adds to that heightening and concrete establishment of uniformity that later was in system with the Communist Party of China. But with ancient and Middle Age Chinese history, including Japanese and Korean too, from their influence uh, the after the Khan era, the Genghis Khan lineage, they saw that if a child was punished, well, no, if a child was committing wrongdoing or something amoral, it's the child's innocent. But the family's condemned and the ancestors are condemned for not teaching the child correction, discernment, and a form of moral code because it's on the parents and the ancestors' fault. So, among their mind, ancestry and parental guidance was crucial, which is similar to the Greco Romans in a different sense. One example is Julius Caesar and the Julian Claudio dynasty from Julius Caesar to Nero, and the Pax Romana from Augustus Caesar to Marcus Aurelius, but that's a different lineage. Julius Caesar indirectly did influence the use of clemency, and clemency is, well, a form of self-control, and mercy in the sense of power, and it increases a collective status of strength for a unit. And from that demonstration of clemency in Gaul and lower parts of Britannia at the time, it was involved of their tenets and moral code to show some clemency.
Mm, right. And before we finish, last question here. Which of the Chinese virtues do you think our society is lacking most and could do well by kind of respecting and bringing to greater prominence?
Two, no, three appeal my eyes. Z, or wisdom slash discernment, because there's a overwhelming amount of social judgment on society, on humans, of attempting to humanize and denaturalize the instincts in humans today. The other one is yi, or righteousness, and some form of moral integrity, which is framed as, oh, this person's just being selfish. There's nothing erroneous of being selfish. Another one that's of the supporting virtues is is zhong, loyalty and duty, of
Hmm.
how one has a personal relationship with self loyalty and self duty to commitments, not Immanuel Kant's categorical imperative of other forms of moral and ideal duties from the higher in the hierarchy of what is the good, what is the one, the monad, et cetera, that represses the instincts, et cetera. But those are my three. What are yours? And three is not exclusive. You could say the entire list.
Right. Yeah. So, of the virtues, I definitely believe that that yang, moral courage, is something that people need to understand today in a sense that it needs to be brought back because people in the past they had genuine moral courage, and what passes for moral courage today, especially politically, is a kind of sad shadow of what the actual thing is. And I also believe loyalty, Zhang. If loyalty was more emphasized, then I mean friendships would be a lot better. Uh, there'd be much lower divorce rates because well, people need to understand, and for some reason, a lot of them aren't taught that, your word is supposed to be your bond, and if you say something, you need to make every effort so that it actually gets done, to be trustworthy and to stick by people uh, with with loyalty, even if things get hard. And that doesn't mean to compromise your morals, but it does mean to basically use your discernment whenever problems come up. And a lot of friendships today, I hear they ended because someone cut them off over something trivial, and I find that absurd and pathetic. And yeah, anyway, those are my main takeaways. So, any last words before we say our goodbyes for now?
To live is to suffer. To survive is to find meaning in the suffering.
Yeah, very good. Thank you, Greg. Amor fati.
Amor fati.